Bonjour, je m'appelle Françoise. I'm a French native from Brittany in the northwest of France. In 1996, I was delighted to combine my training in chemistry with my love for the English language when I got a job in England. Since 2012, I have reversed the order. I now teach French to English speakers, and I use a scientific approach to develop courses and teach. Because let's face it, the French language is not always easy to understand and manipulate. That's why it's important to keep things simple. And I like to find the logical side of it, of the French language, in particular with verbs. Yes, there is a logic to verbs, and you don't need to learn your verbs by heart. You just need to learn a minimum and understand that logic, and off you go. As for vocabulary, I like to teach it using its etymology or associating a word to an image, a word to another word, etc. And that helps memorization, I find. As for grammar, it's not always easy to explain it, I must confess, but I do like a good challenge. And between you and me, I used to hate it at school. So I do sympathize with the people who don't like grammar. But I learned to appreciate it more when I started learning foreign languages, because the grammar is the skeleton of any language. And because grammar is not popular, it's essential to keep it as simple as possible. So that's my drive. The important aspect when learning a language is simply to use it. I always say there is no silly mistakes. It's part of the learning process. But what is silly though is not to try, because you will never know whether you were right. You would have been right or wrong. And don't forget, the natives will always appreciate your efforts, whether you make a mistake or not. I think it's important for a teacher to adapt accordingly, because people's ability to learn a language or their perception of a language does vary a lot. And that's why over the last decade, I designed my activities and resources to be able to teach each learner in front of me efficiently, whatever his or her linguistic background and abilities. So in my resource collection, a SAM resource can be used to check if a learner has understood correctly or remember what has been learned previously. And if they haven't, then I use the SAM resource in a different way, or I use another resource from my collection. And I'm always happy to rephrase or to present it from a different angle if required. Whether you learn for fun or for an exam, doing it within an entertaining and engaging framework is always very efficient to consolidate what you've just learned, because your mind is focused on the purpose of the game and the activity, and you need to use the language to do it. So it's also a good way to check what has been successfully acquired and what hasn't. So that's the reason why I use a lot of engaging activities. It is important to give loads of opportunities for learners to recall what they have learned, and I use a progressive approach during each lesson to work on the short-term memory. But I also expose my learners to things we've seen a little while back to trigger the long-term memory. That can be a bit frustrating when we forget, but this is an efficient way of recycling, and it is so true. Like we say, you use it or lose it. Everybody memorizes differently. Some people prefer to see or to write. I do. Others remember better when they hear or when they associate a word with another word, a word with an image, a word with a story. So everybody has their own way to memorize. As a teacher and author of language resources, my drive is to ensure that all those learning styles are taken into consideration. Et voilà, this is an overview of the way I teach and develop my resources and courses. If you would like to know more about my activities, about my resources, please visit my website, languistique.com. And if you would like to learn French with me, let's have a chat. À très bientôt, j'espère.